Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone out there? Hope you guys are doing good. The show's starting now. I hope everyone is well. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I'm doing some checks. It's been a lot of talk of endless wars. I wanted to get into some of that. What are the root causes of some of these wars? How did we arrive to where we are at? How do we fix this? What is the best solution? We're going to get into all of that very, very soon. All right. We need a second to get things started here. And we're going to start with some reports here. Let's see what we got. All right. Start sharing the screen for you guys. I want to make sure the audio is okay. Let's get this ready.
Thank you, Zach. Retired Lieutenant.
All right. Hello. How you doing, homie? Welcome to the show. So do I watch? You watch whatever you want, homie. This is a free country. In a different room, I don't understand what you're saying. Like open 3 or 4 windows, watch 5 things at the same time, get a little bit of information from everywhere. There you go. All right. We're gonna get into this is Newsmax. I haven't used them before. We're gonna see what they say.
Thank you, Zach. Retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg is a former assistant to President Trump and joins us now. Thank you so much. So may I ask you about this launch of the strikes in honor of service members killed in recent attacks linked to Iran? It seems like the president really.
I mean, I wouldn't say in honor. I don't like that rhetoric. Oh, we're striking because of the servicemen. No, I mean, we are striking, but it's not really because of them. We are continuing the mission and honoring them. The strike on Jordan because of our people that got injured, killed, because of all the people that got injured, all the damage done because they were violent people that attack everywhere. We're gonna ramp up the strikes to destroy the equipment they're using to shoot, and we're doing it faster, so they stop doing it. Like the idea that there is a certain amount of retaliation and that makes it worth that person's life is something that I find it's look, I wouldn't say it's repulsive, that's a little exaggerated. I would say it's inadequate. There's no amount of missiles that you can launch that makes killing one of our soldiers okay. I mean, reprehensible is a little too far. I wouldn't call this guy reprehensible. I wouldn't call him disturbing for saying that. I wouldn't call Trump reprehensible or disturbing for saying that. I understand that you're looking for adjectives that might fit for the feeling. But if I'm just directing my criticism at a person that's using that kind of language, I'm not going to say you're reprehensible, right? I'm going to say this is inadequate because the message that you're putting is, oh, kill one of our soldiers and we're going to fire this amount of missile and that makes it okay. Misplaced. That's a good one. Misplaced. That's good. Thank you, Aaron. Playing the adjective game today. Let's see what he says. I just find the whole messaging of, yeah, no, you kill one of ours and we fire this many missiles and then it's okay. We destroy this many things and then it's okay. No, I like, in their honor, we will continue and we will not let their death be in vain. We will continue the mission. We know that they will be forever remembered. Like, I wouldn't place an action, one action or a series of actions as a replacement for it. Let me see here. On my second vacation to Iraq, we picked up a linguist, Lebanese Christian that joined the U.S. Army. We became friends and still friends to this day. Well, I'm glad that Lebanon is coming to the table and things are looking bright for the future of Lebanon.
Has to make a decision, regardless of American casualties, whether he's going to pursue this and force Iran militarily to the negotiating table or back off.
Yeah, I think you're right. The fact of the matter is he's not going to back off. I know Donald J. Trump, and it's President Trump, the commander-in-chief. He's not going to do that with Iran right now. I mean, this is one of those things that's going to really define his presidency and his resolve to get this done. And militarily, the Iranians are no match for us. But I think this is one of the times that we kind of need to kind of relook what we're doing. How are we going to do this economically, militarily, and diplomatically? On diplomatic front, I would just throw that MOU away.
Throw that MOU away. I agree. Look, when will India and Pakistan be over? You're asking a lot of questions here that are hard to answer. But with a lot of these things, you got to get to the root of the matter and the funding. The root of the matter with the IRGC, and if you go back to the era of the Shah, is that when the Shah was modernizing Iran, the Soviets put a lot of funding into the campaign of a man named Mossadegh. When Mossadegh won, he nationalized the foreign oil companies. Well, some of them were BP Oil, British Petroleum, and confiscated the infrastructure. That was illegal for him to do, and he was fired legally by the Shah. This by the West was labeled a coup. There was a lot of propaganda about it, and that's when there was so-called the installing of the Shah. There was no installing of the Shah by the CIA in the U.S. Mossadegh was rightfully fired for overstepping his authority and nationalizing the international companies that had deals with the government. He was a commie plant, and all the leftists in the news and everywhere tried to reverse the story away from reality. Now, what's the problem with India and Pakistan? India had their own Palestine. India had their own Gaza. You know what it was called? Kashmir. That's what all happened. Like, there was a partition. During the partition, some people, how would I put it? During the partition, the split was uneven. I wouldn't say uneven, but it didn't take a lot of things into account. And yeah, I know they still have Kashmir, but because of that, they fight and they fight and they fight over that region. And their two-state solution wound up making Pakistan and India into what it is today. That's why you wouldn't want that. Let's go back to the video.
And just say, we're not going to negotiate anymore. We're done with talking with your negotiators. The second thing I think needs to be done is, and I've said it militarily, you can take a couple of islands in the Persian Gulf right now, Iraq Island, which is a command and control hub in the Strait of Hormuz, and you take Karg Island, which really runs 90% of their oil comes out of card and hold them as leverage points for the future when you do get back into negotiations. The other thing I do, and it's coming out in press reports, I would actually start another front and actually get some support to the Iranian revolutionaries against the theocratic government that can change the government out. Now that would take
Did you hear what he said?
revolutionaries against the and actually get some support to the Iranian revolutionaries against the theocratic government.
Run
Some
that by
support
again.
in press reports. I would actually start another front and actually get some support to the Iranian revolutionaries against the theocratic government that can change the government out. Now that would take.
Here's what's going on. Listen to what he said. The Iranian revolutionaries, get them some support. You know what he didn't say? Kurds. See the difference?
Probably take what is called a presidential finding to do that, and with the covert operations with the CIA or somebody like that to get themselves going and making sure that the Iranian people have to decide themselves they're going to do this. We're not going to do it for them. They're going to have to come online and actually.
They're going to have to come and decide for themselves. We can't do it for them. We can have some people in there. The same people that take over the islands might need to go a little more inland to just secure the artillery, that artillery doesn't fire on the island. While we're there, we could vet and train some people to have our back. The better they have our back, the more we can support them. The more that we can support them, the more areas they can take inside. In the end, Iranian people have to be the boots on the ground. We have to arm them.
Do this and remove the government if they think that's the way to go. They should. They've got the capability to do it. They just have the will to do it, and we should provide that assistance as it's needed, but also depend on them to get the job done.
Can I ask
and then
you?
the last thing I do is I think the president should go to the American people and tell them what he's doing, why it's important, why a non-nuclear Iran is very, very important to our kids and our.
I think this is a mistake. This focus on Iran being nuclear, this focus on Iran being nuclear is a problem, because there are things that are worse than nuclear. If Iran wasn't so stupidly stuck on nuclear, they could put so many bioweapons on those cluster bombs and put real or fake, I don't know, Ebola, fucking nerve gas agents. They could put mustard gas. They could put corona mixed with Ebola, mixed with rabies, some kind of zombie virus. I don't know. There are lots of things. They already have the ideas. They're just stupid. You know who needs to have an idea that this could happen? The people in charge. The people in charge need to wake the fuck up and realize the problem here is not the nuclear. Fentanyl-laced urine. I don't know. I don't know if that's an airborne disease, but it sounds horrible. This is something you encounter in Skid Row in Pennsylvania. But yeah, sprinkled from above with drones. I don't know. They could do horrible, horrible things. The problem here is not the nuclear, it's the regime. Because if they had those same warheads and instead of nuclear, they were trying to put a bunch of bioweapons in there, we'd have the same fucking problem. We'd have someone that can fire, a bunch of mustard gas from cluster bombs straight into Europe. A bunch of mustard gas. And I'm not saying the explosion is going to be as big, but it can be very deadly, very destabilizing. It'll destroy the markets. It'll be shit for stability. It'll destroy stability. You got to look at the big picture here. And oh my God. Okay. Look, you can get that from Taco Bell these days. Okay. They had a salad problem. And I don't think it was the IRGC, but I think it's bad. Okay. We had Todd Fulton explaining about the explosive diarrhea. That's a Taco Bell problem. That's not an IRGC problem. When the IRGC has explosive diarrhea, it's usually coming from their face hole, and they call it the news. They could overload the strait with hummus. I don't know if that's like, I've heard hummus is delicious. I don't know if that's a problem. Yeah, we need to get over the dislike of regime change. We need to help these people get that fucking IRGC out of there. Because the biggest setback that the IRGC have is that they're stuck on fucking nuclear. That's their setback. That's not their power. If they didn't give a fuck about the centrifuges, if they didn't give a fuck about nuclear, about spinning, about nuclear power, if they would just be burning in oil and have some lab people in a house somewhere, in a bunker somewhere, making bioweapons like the fucking Chinese spies that were doing it all over fucking California to try to spread some crazy virus, we would have a big fucking problem. Getting stuck on the problem here is nuclear is stupid. The problem here isn't that it's nuclear. We got a lot of problems here, but the problem is not that it's nuclear. The problem is that it's the IRGC.
Grandkids, because what he's doing right now is right. And I think we should back him up, and the American people need to be told what he's doing.
Can I ask you a question about Pickaxe Mountain?
Here's another problem. Okay. I don't dislike the idea of regime change, says Cheetah. I'm wary of the results of a new regime being called a U.S. puppet. Let me explain something to you. This is the attitude we should have about what they call things. They might call it a U.S. puppet. They might call it that. And when they say that's a U.S. puppet, we should say, you can suck it. You can suck it if you think that it's a puppet. We don't care what you fucking think. We don't care. Now, I'm not saying I don't care what you think. I care what you think. But you're thinking, hey, they're going to call us names. Well, I think our attitude should be, call it whatever the fuck you want. The point is we're in charge here. Let them call it whatever they want. We shouldn't care. I want you to be secure in yourself. I want that. Nobody that calls you any name as an American or an individual can affect you. So if anybody calls you a name as an American or an individual, you tell them, I'm no puppet, you can suck it. You understand what I'm saying here? Yeah, okay, yes, it's the problem that the old Shah had. But what's the problem that the old Shah had? Mossadegh, a puppet of Russia, nationalized all the oil companies. The Shah, who had the right, like is had right now in the British Parliament, said, you're fired. We're calling a snap election for a new prime minister or whatever, like they did in Japan, like they can do in UK, which is a legal thing you can do. It's a part of the government. If the prime minister goes crazy, you can do something. And that was a stopgap. Hey, you can't just nationalize all the oil companies and go full commie, Mr. Mossadegh. I don't care if you got elected because you got a whole bunch of Russia money in your funding. I don't care. You can't just nationalize the Iran's oil. You can't do that. You're fired. They called that a coup d'etat from the top down, apparently. Right? A coup d'etat is when a vice president, a secretary of state takes over a presidency. It's not when a president takes over the vice president's job. If a president fires the secretary of state, that's not a coup. He has the power to do that. You understand what I'm saying? I know it's a French word, coup d'etat. Coup d'etat. I'm not very good with the French. My point is that the image of the Shah was always fake. It's the problem that the old Shah Shah had the image, the fake image, that him using his power to stop some commie-backed crazy politician from nationalizing the federal private-public partnerships that Iran had for oil. He couldn't nationalize that. No, you can't do that. You're fucking fired. The problem the Shah had was a problem we had. The leftist media like NBC, CBS, the BBC, and ABC back in those days started calling it a coup d'etat, even though that's not what it is. They started saying that the Shah was a plant, which is not what it is. Started saying that Mossadegh was somehow right to nationalize the oil, which he had no right to do. They had the problem we had. So if we're going to let these people all the way from 1978, 1979, 1960s control us the same way they're doing all the way to now, we're never going to win. We're never going to win with the attitude, whoa, well, they might say, they're always going to say shit. It's always going to be bullshit. We can't let them affect this, Cheetah. I'm telling you, man, we have to band together, you and me, and tell them, go fuck yourself. Because they're always going to talk that shit. Yeah, the image. Who gives a fuck about the image? I want the image of America to be, they show up, there's a table, and they say, hey guys, this is what we're going to do. They pull their zipper down, they put their dick on the table and say, you motherfuckers are going to suck it or you're going to die. That's the image I want. I don't give a fuck about it. Oh my God, people are going to think we're mean. I don't give a shit. I'm a man. I'm a man. I don't care about the images. I don't care about seeming nice. I don't care about some lefty bullshit socialist government seeing me as a hero with a cape. Fuck what they think. Fuck what they think my image is. They're going to paint my image bad anyway. We need to stop caring what they think. We need to stop caring about our image. Fuck the image. That's what I'm saying. Fuck the image. Fuck them. We need to win. You know what? You know what's good for our image? Winning. You know what was good for our image in Venezuela? Grabbing that motherfucker out of his house and putting him in jail. What did the media paint? Oh my God. Oh, we just deposed a nation. We're at war with Venezuela. They said that for like a month. We're at war with Venezuela. Bitch, it was one day. But you want to put the image out there that we were in Venezuela for a fucking month. It's a bullshit image. All your images are fake. All their images are fucking fake. So fuck their images. You know what's good for our image? Winning. That's what's good for our image. Because if it comes to the images that the media in these socialist countries portray, they're always going to portray some bullshit image. And we can't care. We don't have the luxury of placating to lying socialist propagandists. I don't know. No, I can't say women. No, this is misogyny. I don't support this. It's okay. Leftism is very emotional. Conservatism is very fact-based. It cares very little for emotion. People on the left, men and women, tend to be more concerned, and I'm not saying that Cheetah's a leftist, but on the left and center tend to be more concerned with image and more concerned with social connections. People on the right seems to be more object-oriented, mission-oriented, goals-oriented, and they care very little for the social aspects or the image. They just want the mission accomplished. They kind of meet at the center. At the center, we have people that know how to balance both. But, at some point, you have to let the right say, hey, fuck the image. We got to win. That's what's good for our image.
Says that they now believe Iran has moved nuclear material deep inside that site. The U.S. did not target it last year, and we have not targeted it at all in this.
How did they move nuclear material in? I thought that what they moved in was the spinners. I'm not looking at this from a U.S. perspective. That's the only perspective that matters. What do we care what Spain's perspective is? What do we care what the UK's perspective is? What do we give a shit what Russia's perspective is? I mean, if I wanted to to give Germany a perspective, I'd show them my taint and say, look at this perspective right here. I got your perspective right here. Take a look at this. That's my taint. That's the perspective I'm gonna give you. Yeah, we call this mooning. We call this mooning. I'm pulling my pants down and showing you my taint. Here's a perspective for you to look at. That's the perspective I want you to see. Right above that taint is my ass. There's a hole there. You can kiss it. That's the perspective I want to give Germany. That's the perspective I want to give the UK. That's the perspective I want to give Spain. Kiss my fucking ass. I want you to have that perspective. You're going to work with me or you're going to kiss my ass. What about the world's perspective? Yes, let's give them a perspective. Let's pull our pants down, show them our taint, and you say, look, so right above that area, you can write it there. You can get a tattoo. Kiss above. That's the perspective we should give them. Just placating them, caring what they think. Fuck what they think. Fuck what they think. Their perspective. I'm sick of it. Like, if they were helping, if their perspective had some kind of input and it wasn't just us giving them money and protecting them and them complaining endlessly, you know what? I might take their perspective into account. If they were cooperating with us militarily, if they were putting more money into the defense, if they were doing all those things, then maybe I would care about their perspective. But their contributions have been so low to global stability that I think the best perspective that we can give to the European powers is here. Let me pull down my pants. And if you can see what I wrote there on my taint, it says kiss above for a good perspective. That's what I think. That's the perspective we should give them. I think it's a great perspective. What do you guys think? You guys think that's a good perspective for us to give the rest of the world on what we're going to do about this situation? Because they ain't fucking helping. And I don't mean to sound mean, because I'm not telling you to have that perspective. I'm giving that perspective to Europe. I'm giving that perspective to China. I'm giving that perspective to Russia. That's what I'm trying them to get like a good look at it. I don't even shave it, so it's kind of hairy.
This entire campaign, yet I believe that that is the site that most people assume a lot of the enriched uranium is located in, and it's large enough to really house almost the entire program. Do you know why we wouldn't go after that?
Well, I would think that's on the target list to go after Pickaxe Mountain.
Okay, so about that, what I thought was that they were moving spinners into Pickup, because I don't know how they would have material. They can't pull the material out of Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. So why would they have material? Do they have material? I was under the impression, no, I'm not going to wink at them with my hairy brown eye. No, we can't do that. Have you seen their leather dog parades? They would love that. I don't want to give them the pleasure, right? I've seen their little kink parades, especially in Germany. No. It has to be done like, quickly and to prove a point. If you just leave it hanging out there, they're gonna be into it, and that's that. Then you're just then it's bad for you, and you're like, oh no, stop. You know what? I'm gonna put it away. That's how you got to think about it. Okay, this has gone a little bit off the rails, right? But I am a monkey. What I'm talking about is they're talking about Pickaxe like they moved material in there. I thought they had moved the spinners in there, not material. If there is material in there, yeah, you would have to close that, but you can also close it when they put the spinners in there. I need to find more out about this. Let's see where this goes.
Easily shut down the entry points to both, kind of bury it so they can't get to it, and then use our basically our deep penetrating weapons to go take out the access points and also the internals to it. Because you're probably right. What the Iranians have done, probably in all probability, is they move their enriched uranium to a place like Pickaxe Mountain. And we've got to get that enriched uranium out of the hands of the Iranians, because they're so close to weapons grade right now. And they'll either buy a weapon or they're going to make a weapon. And you cannot have a weapon, a nuclear weapon, in the Middle East because of it's so destabilizing. And I think the president had it right. and that he's not going to leave this for future generations. He's going to handle this problem now.
That's another thing he said. He doesn't want to leave it for future generation. And if he doesn't want to leave it for future generation, he has to do it before his administration is over.
I would caution the American people, just have patience with this. The president has it right. He'll get it done. He's got good advisors out there. He's got a great military behind him. Let's just finish.
I love this guy. He's good for the war effort, good for America, good for breakfast. God bless Kellogg.
The job now as it should be done.
General, I want to turn to this. President Trump is meeting with the Lebanese president in due time. And when it comes to disarming Hezbollah, that is a major topic of conversation. The Trump administration is training, equipping, and vetting individual units of the Lebanese military to go after Hezbollah. And Israeli soldiers occupying Lebanon would gradually hand off responsibility to these Lebanese troops. So the two sides right now, they've already agreed on a structure.
This is something I've said before. I've been saying it since Trump said, "What do you want me to get Jelani in here?" I can get Jelani in here. You want Jelani in here, or are you gonna get along with Israel and you guys gonna work it on? Because if you two guys can't work it out, I can get Jelani in here. He probably used the Trump voice when he said these things. If you guys can't work it up, I'll get my decapitator. He'll come over here. He'll make head roll. But Israel will not be happy. Lebanon will not be happy. How about you two make a deal? Come to the table, sit down, come to the table. Let's make a deal. And we don't have to bring in my friend Jelani. He's a very strong man, very handsome man. Have you seen him? He's a very handsome man, strong man. I told everybody, that's bullshit. What he's going to do is make Lebanon and Israel have joint operations because neither Lebanon nor Israel want Jelani in there. What happened? He sat down in the table, and when they asked him about Jelani, he said, well, that's up to him. Basically saying that's up to the president of Lebanon. And told the president of Lebanon, he can have whatever he wants. Basically letting Lebanon know, you will be backed against Hezbollah, so you don't have to worry about Syria. Told the president of Lebanon, oh, you can have Jelani come here if you want. And if you don't want, he doesn't come in here. You understand what I'm saying? You got to understand the context and the subtext, because that's what happened today. I saw it earlier. Yes, Christmas is saying I don't wait a minute. I don't know about anybody else's perspective because I don't want a WMD of any sort, bio or otherwise, landing in my backyard. Yes, that's a good perspective. That's an excellent perspective
For this handover process, but there are definitely some concerns surrounding the weakness of the Lebanese military. Let's take a listen.
The implementation of what's called the pilot zone process, where you see the Lebanese government able to clear out terrorist infrastructure from certain areas in an effort to establish.
What is this? Where is this? These are Houthi knives. What the hell is this? Oh, but that's a Hezbollah flag, right? They got that mustard. It looks like a mustard bottle sign.
Establish that sovereignty and make sure that Israel is secure. The United States stands ready and is.
Bro, look at the. You know how much shit they gave Elon for this? Do you remember how much shit they gave Elon for this? Oh my God. Wait a minute, I got some messages here. Espérate un momentito. I mean, wait a second. I am so sorry. I am so sorry, family call. I am so sorry. I had a little bit of a family call. And before I left, no, 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 no. Oh my God. Oh my God. You know, when your kids want to trade a Steam Deck for a ROG Ally, and you're like, don't be trading electronics. Your portable device is new, brand new. And you're trading it for some used ROG Ally from who? No, 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 no. We can get you a new ROG Ally and you can just have both. All right. We can find you a used ROG Ally from a reliable source where it has some kind of warranty. You're not going to be trading your Steam Deck. You have very good grades. You are an honor roll student. You're not all every single class ace, but you are an honor roll student. And you got your little part-time job. So you make enough money to get yourself a ROG Ally. We're not doing this thing, you trading your brand new Steam Deck for a ROG Ally. No, 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 no. That's not going to happen. You got to, because kids, they don't know about electronics. And she's a girl, but she's a gamer. And you know how gamers are when they see a new shiny. You know how we are. Okay, so have some patience with me, chat. We're going to roll this video a little bit back, but it was a family emergency, a family gamer emergency. So it's a little bit of a mix. I can't let, no. Can't have that happen. All right, let's roll this back.
Actively involved, make clear the implementation of what's called the pilot zone process, where you see the Lebanese government able to clear out terrorist infrastructure from certain areas in an effort to establish.
Now, what was going on here is that we were having some territory that was controlled by Israel. This is why you call what you call clear and control. Sometimes police will do this when they clear rooms, right? You have SWAT go in there, they clear a room, they clear another room, they clear another room, all clear. They call the regular cops in. And the regular cops take care of the zone, make sure no one else comes in, keep order into who comes in and out, right? This is very common when you have SWAT go in first, then police. This is kind of what we're doing in Lebanon. We're using IDF as SWAT to make sure they clear an area, and then we're having the Lebanese army come in and control. Now, what is the problem with that? What you don't want is one of your forces to have a dirty cop. Like, no, it doesn't matter how clean your SWAT force is. If you got some dirty cops within your police force, your regular cops. So one of the things that I believe is going on, And one of the reasons for the meeting between the president of Lebanon and Trump is that he can get him over here and tell him, look, this is what information we have from the CIA, from Mossad, on who in your army is a bad guy and who in your government is putting these bad guys in power. Because we had that problem in Iraq, and I bet you dollars to donuts that what the Iraqi government did was, in conjunction with USA, start taking out all these IRGC aligned politicians. And I think there was like, how many of them? 47 is last I remember, but I think it went up to 100 politicians, parliamentarians, people put in power that were siphoning money. They used the Iranian money to bribe themselves into a position of power. Once in power, they started siphoning the Iraqi money. And they had bars of gold. They had lots of money, mountains of cash. And that was a problem. So I suspect Lebanon has that same problem. And the strategy that was implemented in Iraq with the new president of Iraq, I think that's what's going to happen with the gold bikini. Oh, my God. Michelle knows. They had a gold G-string, but they were putting it on Jabba the Hutt instead of on Princess Leia. I saw who owned that bikini. They could not fit in it. No way. So there was a lot of corruption, right? And because of that corruption, you couldn't have a good police. You couldn't have a good military. You wound up funding insurgencies like PMF and Hashd al-Shabi, also known as poor motherfuckers, PMF, Hashd al-Shabi, that motherfucker. So because they had infiltration in the government, there wasn't good oversight of those positions, and that was a bad situation. I think the shift that happened in Iraq is what they want to accomplish in Lebanon. They want to talk to the president. They want to make sure that we have a clean government, and from the top down, and start cleaning the house. Because if you start cleaning the house from the bottom, someone at the top can start dirtying, your positions of entry. You get rid of all the corruption, but if someone at the top is promoting bad people, they're going to wind up at the bottom. If you're going to clean the house, you got to start with the attic. You got to start at the top. And what they probably going to do is now talk to the president and have meetings about corruption. And this is my prediction. In about, I would say, a week, 2 weeks, there's going to be raids by the military and the police together into people in politics. They're going to find a lot of money, and they're going to find a lot of money and gold, and I don't know what other resources they have in weapons, maybe, in Lebanon, that they're not supposed to have in the hands of politicians. And we're going to see a repeat of what we saw in Iraq. We're going to see it in Lebanon. Now, yes, and lots of gold. They may have more gold G-strings. We may see more gold and G-strings. So here's the thing. That's what I believe that the model that was used when they were in Iraq, where the Iraqi president started being close to the Trump administration. They started making moves in their area to use that connection to find all the hidden corruption and the hidden money. And they confiscated all that money and gave it back to the people, or whatever they did with it. I don't fucking know. They took all that away from the corrupt politicians, started vetting better people for those positions. That's what I think is going to happen in Lebanon. Once you do that, these transfer operations can proceed better. Back to what is going on with a clearing. I explained before SWAT. SWAT will clear a bad guy's building. They'll check for traps. They'll check if anybody's in there. If they got to call the bomb squad, they'll call the bomb squad, right? That's how they function. They go in there, they clear. Then regular police take over the scene and maintain, operational control, make sure nobody gets in here, make sure that anybody that comes in here is vetted. That's what's going on with the IDF and the Lebanon military. IDF is functioning as SWAT. Once SWAT is through, the regular police or the regular Lebanon forces take over. And that's the kind of way they're working together, like a joint force, right? That's what I think is happening right now. That's the kind of joint task force that's being formed. And I think it's a good thing.
That sovereignty and make sure that Israel is secure. The United States stands ready and is actively involved in making sure that we create the space for these good faith conversations, but also our support
this. But there are definitely
of what's called
concerns surrounding the weakness of the Lebanese military. Let's take a listen.
the implementation of what's called the pilot zone process, where you see the Lebanese government able to clear out terrorist infrastructure from certain areas in an effort to establish that sovereignty and make sure that Israel is secure. The United States stands ready and is actively involved in making sure that we create the space for these good faith conversations, but also are supporting the capabilities of the Lebanese government.
Yeah, it seems, General, also there's two parallel tracks here with Hezbollah, speaking with them, and then, of course, speaking with the Lebanese government separately. But can the U.S. train up the Lebanese to be a real fighting force against Hezbollah?
Well, you actually missed the third part of it. What
Sure.
I mean by that is the UN's been involved in there for a long time with UNIFIL. Now, I criticize them greatly because they haven't done anything. They've just been taking money as peacekeeping funds from the UN when they should have been doing this all along. They should have prevented Hezbollah from being south of the Litani River. That's what's causing the problem.
I think part of that is due to corruption. This is their meeting. This is the president of Lebanon.
Israelis can do it. The Israelis can clean it out. It's going to be a constant fight. And I'll tell you, the Israelis, it's
General, I just wanted to
security
break in.
concerns they're
I
concerned about.
apologize. We're just taking a live look at President Trump and the president of Lebanon.
Apparently, this is live of the time that they recorded this.
They're maybe taking some questions. Let's listen.
Boy, these guys don't miss a beat to yell out a question, do they? I just said we'll make a lot of progress. I don't know what else. We'll talk inside. I'm not going to just yell at you out here, motherfucker. We're going to go
All right,
inside.
the gentlemen have gone back
Oh,
in there.
born in
I
a barn?
apologize,
Come on.
General.
Let's get
if you can
inside.
pick up where you left off, I apologize.
Well, the fact is the UN should have been doing this all along
Yeah.
because the Israelis are going to take care of the problem south of the Litani River because it's all survival to the Israelis. They're going to protect the settlements that are out there from Hezbollah. Hezbollah has been terribly damaged, been fragmented by the Israelis. And I'm not even talking about Hamas anymore because they're kind of off the table. But the Israelis will keep doing that. And I think we need to support them in their process of totally destabilizing Hezbollah as an organization. I think they'll continue to do it. Now, again, it goes back to what I said before, is I would like to keep U.S. troops out of there. And this is one of the things the UN should have been doing all along under UN mandate and Security Council resolutions. They established UNIFIL, which is a protective force south of the Litani River for Lebanon, and they haven't done their job. Now, that means we may have to get involved. I hope we don't. It should be up to the UN.
General, I got to tell you, I had no idea that the UN had forces
Yeah, it's
there.
very important
None.
insights. Yeah.
That's how little they've done.
You know what? I don't want to talk about UNRWA right now. The UN is usually the funder of terrorists, not the stopper of terrorists. Like UN is the worst people that you can have to stop terrorism. It's a horrible thing. I just want to say, hey, I see you guys in the chat. Thank you for dropping by. I'm looking at your comments, and I appreciate them all.
Well, they have, and they just haven't done their job. It's sort of classic UN, where they do something, but they never follow through with it. I've seen it happen time and time again, and here's another classic case of them doing nothing.
Wow. Well, thank you so
Defund the UN, and not defund the police. That's not good for us. Like if you're a person of color and you're fucking Latino, that the ghetto, the trailer park, and the barrio, it's not better without police. It makes it hard for businesses to flourish. If you want to defund something, defund the UN.
much for sharing your expertise with us. We really appreciate your time.
I love Kellogg. Kellogg is good for breakfast, good for America, good for the military.
Thanks, Lieutenant.
Appreciate it. All right, let's see what else we got here. Oh my God. This is meant to piss me off. This is MS now because then they were bad and they are bad now. Let's see. Let's see what's going on here. This is going to be terrible. I'm going to warn you. I'm going to warn you. This is going to be terrible.
Leading up.
Oh my God. Look at how we're starting. Look at how we're starting. Timo Obama. Look at this dollar store Obama over here. Is this Hakeem Jeffries?
Our discussion tonight is Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. Leader Jeffries,
Oh
it's
my
good to see you.
God.
Thanks for being here.
Great to be with you.
Thanks so much. The news today is that more Americans have been.
Oh my God. We got Timo Stephen Colbert and Timo Obama. What the hell is going on here? Why do I have to find dollar store Colbert and dollar store Obama? Right, that this is what this network has become.
Been killed in this endless war, as Fox put it now, and it seems to be escalating.
Endless war. Oh my God.
Donald Trump is doing, in your estimation, what exactly?
Well, Donald Trump has gotten us into this reckless and costly war of choice that has resulted in Iran being stronger now than they were before this war started. And of course, the economic well-being of the American people being much weaker. Donald Trump promised America that.
Okay, so here's the thing about what Donald Trump is. He cut off about 40% of imports from China. He has secured more of what you would call as onshoring and friendshoring, meaning the production of oil and rare earth minerals has increased everywhere that's not China. Like we're decoupling from all these places that we were coupled to. If one thing that we've done successfully, if we've made it painfully obvious to Europe that the status quo is not stability. Because the second something happens in the Strait of Hormuz, and I might do it myself just so that you notice, your oil is gone. So you need to start drill baby drilling instead of counting on batteries that you don't make. If the future is net zero carbon, what are you doing? Who's you're getting your batteries from? Europe? China? Do you think they're net zero? Aren't you just throwing your contamination into one of the least regulated places on earth to make your batteries net zero Europe? It's ridiculous. It's fucking, you don't make batteries. What Europe needs to do is start turning on its nuclear reactors and doing their oil exploration, which is why the Labour Party in the UK, even though they're tree-hugging hippie pieces of shit, have started to open up oil exploration in northern UK. And they're going to start drill baby drilling because they can't take the fucking hit they can't take the hit. It's too expensive for the oil for them. And you know what? Sometimes a little pain may be bad for a short time, but it also puts things into perspective. You know how men usually have a certain amount of respect to other men? You know why that is? At some point in that man's youth, maybe when he was 15, 17, maybe a little older, that guy was in a bar, he was at a basketball court, he was somewhere, and he's crossed the line. He said something he shouldn't have said, and he got punched in his fucking mouth. And he might have been mad at the moment, but on the way home, he realized, you know what? I probably shouldn't have said that. And after that, he watched his fucking mouth and didn't talk to me that way, didn't talk to anyone that way again. These things happen. Sometimes you got to go through a little pain to see how far you can go. And I think Europe had to go through a little bit of the pain of Hormuz to understand we got to open up the oil. We got to turn on these nuclear power plants. We got to forget this net zero bullshit. And we got to get our money on point and our eye on the prize. Anyway, I digress.
That he wasn't going to start endless wars, he was going to stop them. And then he turned around.
Yeah, this is a 47, 48-year war. We're trying to, if you want to stop the wars, you have to stop the IRGC, the root of all wars.
And of course, has started this endless, reckless, costly war of choice in the Middle East.
Look, when powers go crazy in the Middle East, they're either ramping up against crazies that the IRGC are funding with their own crazies, or it's crazies that the IRGC is funding. When you got these Sunni Wahhabi versus these Shia fucking 12ers, one makes the other. You understand what I'm saying? If you didn't have these Shias going crazy, you wouldn't have these Sunnis going crazy. They're a destabilizing force. But he doesn't care about black on black crime, and he doesn't care about Islam on Islam violence. He doesn't fucking care. They're all the same.
And he's got no way out. And now, tragically, you have more American heroes being killed.
The words that he spoke on the tarmac here as he departed the
Jesus Christ, he even sounds like Dollar Tree Colbert. It's like Colbert's little brother. Like you froze Colbert and brought him out of the free. Like if you would have I don't know who the fuck this fucker is, but he's like Timu Dollar Tree Colbert and Timu Dollar Tree Obama.
State area where what we're doing now is we're ending any chance where they can have a nuclear missile. Is that what he's doing?
It's certainly
he's
not
even
what he's
giving
doing.
the same
in
looks.
fact, Donald Trump is the same person who told us last year, after the United States bombed Iran, that the nuclear program of the Iranian regime had been completely and totally obliterated. His words, exactly. Not mine. And now a year later.
Oh my God. Like he doesn't know that people can rebuild shit. You know why? And this is something really stupid that you got to watch out for, because the left is going to fucking do this a lot. All right. The left is going to fucking do this a lot. They're going to tell you, oh my God, Bibi is lying. Bibi is lying about the nuclear program. They're fucking lying. They've been about to have a nuclear weapon for 50 years. That's because they keep rebuilding it. Yeah, it's obliterated. Yeah. And then they start from scratch. And in a year or two, they know how to make the thing. They know how to make it. I mean, this is basic shit.
Testosterone, hormone tests, prayer sessions. I asked this only.
He's trying to do Colbert comedy.
Only, I guess, half facetiously. Are Republican lawmakers you speak with aware of how the war in Iran?
Are they on low T? Do they need hormones? That's this guy is. I had never seen. I had no idea there was a dollar store Colbert and a dollar store Obama together. We're having a show on fucking MSNBC now and later and forever, a bunch of lying sacks of shit.
On is going?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's unclear. Democrats, of course, successfully advanced the War Powers Resolution as part of our effort to end this reckless and costly war of choice over in the Middle East. And just a handful of Republicans.
Do you know how they put a slogan in there? They don't just talk about endless and reckless war of choice. Motherfucker, we have established that they had missiles that can reach Diego Garcia, which means they had missiles that can reach Europe. We have established that they have cluster bomb warheads. We have, oh my God, this is brilliant. I have to stop. Physicists are saying this is Timo NBC. It is. MS Now is Timo NBC. We have established that they have missiles that can reach Diego Garcia. Therefore, we have missiles. They have missiles that can reach Europe. We have established that they can put on those missiles cluster munitions. We have established that they have enough to make, I believe it was 11 nuclear warheads, which means they could put a lot of, they could make cluster bombs with it and send them to Europe. Nuclear cluster missiles. We have established that even at 60%, that's enough radiation to make a cluster dirty bomb. We have established all these things. These things are not debatable now. These are known facts. But somehow it wasn't a clear and present danger. So they're selling this war of choice, because to say it's a war of choice is to deny that these people were a clear and present danger.
Republicans have joined us. They continue to bury their heads in the sand, it appears, or just function like a reckless rubber stamp to Donald Trump's extreme agenda, even though it is hurting the very people that House Republicans currently.
What's hurting those people are the crazy taxes that these people have in their states. This motherfucker looks high.
Represent. And the whole situation with Pete Hegseth, who, seems to specialize in bravado but deliver nothing other than
Specialize in bravado? How many places have we hit?
rhetoric. There's no reason for him to be around at this point in time. It was
Facts are the left's kryptonite. This is Crypty knows is kryptonite. That is their kryptonite. They hate facts.
clear at the beginning he should have never been confirmed. He's deeply unqualified. In fact, the most unqualified.
Deeply unqualified. Didn't you run Kamala Harris? Didn't you have that guy Plattner? What was it? Aren't you running a fucking bunch of socialists in your party?
Qualified Secretary of Defense in American history. And now you see the lack of ability, the lack of expertise, the lack of strategic.
He's trying to do the Obama hand signals.
Planning, having real.
But it doesn't seem like that's part of his MO because he started it halfway through the broadcast. Like we're right now at halfway through and now he started with the hand signals.
Life consequences in terms of what's been unfolding as it relates to Operation Epic Failure in Iran.
Oh, look, marketing. Okay, let's see what Dollar Store Colbert has to say.
Money, because the president wants $95 billion, I think, if I have it right, just for the supplemental. What is the actual price tag that Americans are being asked to pay for the war without, it seems, any real...
Oh, what? 95? What did he say? 95 million or billion?
Price tag that Americans are being asked to pay for the war, right? Just for the supplement. The president wants $95 billion, I think.
95 billion. Okay.
If I have it right. Just for the supplemental. What is the actual price tag that Americans are being asked to pay for the war without, it seems, any real oversight at all?
Yeah, it's incredible to me that Donald Trump and Republicans would have the nerve to bring a reckless budget to the floor of the House of Representatives this week.
A reckless budget,
they will
he says.
allocate over $70 billion in additional money for this failed and costly and reckless, endless war of choice.
Bro, he's so full of
over
shit.
in the Middle East. House Democrats, needless to say, are going to strongly oppose it. And we just need a handful of enlightened Republicans, if there are any, to join us on behalf of the American people, because we believe that taxpayer dollars should actually be used to make life more affordable for everyday Americans, because the Trump economy is suffocating them right now. People are drowning, can't thrive, and can barely survive.
They can't thrive because you fucking flooded the country with everybody taking the the jobs. I'm trying to find something here. Give me 1 second, guys, because I had the numbers on the cost of their fraud. See if I can find it. I want to show you guys something. Okay. Pentagon accounting black hole. Blah, 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 blah. This is lost funds. Director Federal, 521 billion. The tax gap, taxpayer fraud, 696 billion. Improper payments, 186 billion. This is fraud. Military fraud, I don't think this is what they're talking about. There could be a lot of this. We should definitely look at it. But this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about what they're in charge of. I had this comparative chart. I don't think this is the one. But it was almost as much in military spending as it was in fraud, direct fraud by the, what is this? How did you make all that? Oh, you put a lot of, that's cool. Thanks for the comments and the cool emojis.
Because of the high cost of living that Donald Trump and Republican policies continue to make worse.
I'll be ready for you guys
You may
next
have
time.
that chance in 106 days, if I got my numbers correct, because that is when the midterm elections are going to be, and the polls are saying that you're on track to be elected the next Speaker of the House on that day. And of course, obviously, there are many voters who are thinking about what Donald Trump and Republicans have done on.
Am I right? Does this guy not fucking look and talk like fucking Stephen Colbert? Do they make these guys in a vat? Are they like sea monkeys? You just put them in water and they grow? No, it's a ChatGPT search, but I had another chart where I had separated the military. There it's kind of mixed, but I had separated military spending from all the fraud in all the states, especially looking at Minnesota, California, New York, Pennsylvania, which were some of the higher ones, because I had it look at all the entitlement spending and stuff that we're paying to NGOs, but I can't find it. A 95 to national defense. Yeah, but I was separating what these guys are in charge of from the military, what the states distribute for entitlements, and what the states distribute for aid, like what the state can get from the federal government for daycares and transportation, all that kind of shit, the Medicaid, that kind of shit, where a lot of the fraud is. I was separating that from military. I can't find the place where I had it separated. I'll try to find it for the next show.
Redistricting, what they're going to possibly try to do to thwart that outcome, that crazy speech that he made last Thursday night.
It's not a crazy. I can't take this shit. I can't do it. I can't take Timu Obama and Timu fucking. No, I'm not doing this. Fuck that. Fuck it. I'm not doing that. I wanted to do. Let me see what else we got here. Let's see. Now I have some videos that I've been sent. See what we can get from Fox.
Very much a live look now at Capitol Hill, where War Secretary Pete Hegseth and Joint Chiefs Chairman Dan Kane are about to pitch lawmakers on an emergency funding request as the war in Iran heats back up.
So the Senate hearing comes after 10 straight days now of U.S. airstrikes, and the Pentagon says they need emergency funds to sustain that pace. We will listen in on Hegseth and Kane as they get underway.
If we left today, it would take them decades to rebuild. And I
I
don't
already
believe they
saw
could
this
ever
part.
rebuild. And honestly, they haven't seen anything yet. We've been nice. We've been nice. I will tell you, they want to desperately meet. And until they're ready to meet in a meaningful way, we have no interest in even.
You heard it there. President Trump says Iran desperately wants to meet, but he says he's in no rush as he weighs a crucial decision whether to restart full-scale operations against Tehran. Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Sandra Smith in New York on this Tuesday afternoon. Jillian, great to have you back today.
Thank you. It's great to be with
I saw this morning. Yeah, I saw this morning with Armin. I'm going to try to find a different clip. I'm going to try to find a different clip. Oh my God. You know what I'm going to do? Let's do breaking news. You guys want to do breaking news? I want to do some breaking news. New U.S. targets 22 minutes ago. You guys want to see that? Breaking news. I even want to put a banner up. Is there a banner for breaking news here?
You're watching live now. I'm Austin Westfall. Let's track the latest in the Middle East. We are hearing an update from U.S. Central Command saying we have yet another consecutive night of strikes in the Middle East. They just posted this. Let's read it. On July 21st at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, CENTCOM successfully completed the 11th consecutive evening of strikes against Iran. CENTCOM assets targeted Iranian military operations centers, maritime capabilities, aircraft hangars, drone storage facilities, and military logistics infrastructure to further degrade Iran's ability to threaten commercial ships.
Okay, let's take a look at this. Military operations centers, maritime capabilities, aircraft hangars, drone storage facilities, military logistics infrastructure, further degrade. That's a long list. I wonder if these is like, if this must be further north because they basically already hit all this.
Shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. It continues. Over the past 3 months, Iran has attacked more than 30 commercial vessels transiting the international waterway that's vital for regional and global trade. The unwarranted attacks have endangered hundreds of innocent mariners and undermined freedom of navigation. Despite Iranian aggression, the Strait of Hormuz remains open for commercial vessel transit. Since early May, CENTCOM forces have helped facilitate the transit of approximately 900 commercial vessels and 450 million barrels of crude oil. Meantime, Fox's Jennifer Griffin saying that the U.S. is announcing that they believe to be what they believe to be the death of an active duty soldier who was supporting overseas operations in Jordan. They say Sergeant Angel S. Rampersad, 28 years old, of Ozone Park, New York, is believed to have been killed in action during an enemy attack at the airbase in Jordan. The incident is under investigation. CENTCOM previously announced this soldier as missing. The soldier's status was updated to a duty status, whereabouts unknown, and is believed to be deceased, according to Jennifer.
This is a very young person because, well, I'm very old. Maybe 28 isn't that young.
So
this is basically another confirmed death.
Those are some of the latest updates coming out of the region. A live depiction of the Strait of Hormuz, courtesy of Marine.
Why are there so many ships there? You know what I wonder? You know what I wonder? I wonder if there is a road from here to here, and everybody is just unloading their cargo, like the containers, like the things you put on a 16-wheeler, unloading it here and just wheeling it, like driving it all the way over here from all these other countries. Because what else are you gonna do? Like, are you gonna like just have the boat? Because look at where the concentration is, here and here. And this is basically what you have here is a holding pattern where you let these people go in, and when they go out, you go in, or when they go in, you go out. You understand what I'm saying? You guys think that's a possibility? Because I've seen that a lot. A whole bunch of people here, a whole bunch of people here, and nobody wants to go by here.
In traffic, let's bring in retired Marine intelligence officer, national security analyst, and host of the Strat podcast, Hal Kempfer. As always, he's here with me. Hal, let's just get in immediately to the strikes taking place. U.S. CENTCOM just confirming moments ago that there was another consecutive night, an 11th night. From what you're hearing, are the strikes still ongoing?
As far as I can tell, they are. I haven't heard that they've actually completed all of them. Of course, the thing I'm going to be watching for closely is to see if there's any strikes that are not attributed to U.S. aircraft. That would indicate to me that maybe one or more of the Gulf states have finally decided to do some strike missions. That was something that came up earlier as a possibility because there were some unattributed strikes that took place in Iran. So I'm kind of wondering about that, particularly as Iran's kind of opened or broadened out the attack portfolio they've been doing by hitting desalination plants and power plants in Kuwait and hitting a variety of other targets in the Gulf states.
So Hal, you and I were talking offline about some reporting coming from the Jerusalem Post. There's so much going on in this conflict in the past 24 hours ago. I want to talk to you a little bit about some internal politics and otherwise going on in Iran. We need to talk about the Houthis today. We need to talk about the Saudis today.
That's very important because there's been a lot of talk about the Houthis and what they can affect. I think because Americans are not great with maps, people have been saying that they are closing the Suez Canal, and because if you close the Bab el Mandeb, then the Red Sea is kind of closed. I mean, you can go into the Suez Canal, you get to the Red Sea, but then you can't leave. You understand what I'm saying? So it might lead to a misconception. But I don't think that when they say the Suez Canal is closed, what they mean is Bab al Mandeb is closing the transit through the Suez Canal because no one can leave. But I don't think they've actually done that.
We're going to get to all of that in a moment. I want to start off with Mojtaba Khomeini, though. He is the supreme leader. He's the new supreme leader of Iran. We've talked about him quite a bit on air. He's in the news.
I don't like that they put this image, but they don't say this is an old image. We haven't seen him since the strikes. We don't even know if he's alive.
Again, the Jerusalem Post saying that Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, admits to having never met with Mojtaba while Iran was...
Oh, they're getting straight into it. Like, I thought they weren't even going to talk about it. Mushy, mushy, where are you, mushy?
Was negotiating the now defunct Memorandum of Understanding with the U.S. Folks at home might notice that we really don't have a whole lot of visuals of Mojtaba.
Oh, a whole lot, as in not even one.
He has a couple of photos here, and some people might be wondering, why don't we have more? That's because we have not seen him since the war began. I need to ask you about this reporting from the Post, Hal. What do we know about the new Supreme Leader's presence since the war began?
Well, first off, he has not been seen since the war started. When the strikes started on 28 February, his father was killed. 49 other senior officials were killed.
He also hasn't been heard. A lot of people think it's because they took his face off, or he's dead, or he's in a coma.
And he was, as far as we know, seriously injured, disfigured. There were reports that he might have been in a coma for a while. There were reports that he may have even lost a leg in the attacks. But he was named the new supreme leader. We've never heard from him directly. We've never seen him. He didn't show up to the 5-day funeral.
You see how he said we never heard from him directly, meaning there's no audio of him talking.
Procession of his father. Nobody knows where he is. Now, there were some reports a while back that some senior officials, and I thought Foreign Minister Araghchi was one of those that had basically access granted by the Revolutionary Guard Corps to meet with him. Of course, now we have Foreign Minister Araghchi of Iran turn around and saying, no, I have not seen him. I haven't met him. And what's interesting is this follows a couple of days ago, there were reports, mostly coming out of Israel, that he may not be in the country. And then yesterday, there were reports coming out of Israel to unattributed Israeli security officials saying, no, they think he's in the country, but there's a lot of thought, not sure if he's in the country or he's not in the country. And the only country I've heard anyone can point to where he might be is Russia, maybe for medical treatment or something like that. But
Das Fidania. Get the hell out of Iran.
it really does beg the question. And it was interesting to hear Foreign Minister Rakshi say this publicly, because there's this growing schism. There's this feeling that General Vahidi, of the head of the Revolutionary Guard Corps, has.
I'm just wondering, why are you a monkey? Are you in a country that you need to hide your identity? Well, I'm a monkey because I'm no better than you. I consider myself equal or beneath anyone in my audience. I don't want to show my face, just like you're not showing your face. I don't even know if that's your real name. That could be your real name, could be your fake name. And you could tell me it's real and not be real. I'm not going to call you a liar, but I'm going to tell you, like, what the hell do I know? Right? So I think it's a matter of principle, that just because you're not showing your face and we don't know if that's your real name, if your words have value, we should respect that. We should respect that. We should highlight it, like I do to many people in the chat. If they say something smart, I don't know if they're like who they claim they are, but if that's a smart statement, we're going to highlight that. There's a saying. It's a very old saying. Sometimes gets misattributed to some Democrat. But the saying is, dumb people talk about people. Smart people talk about events. Super smart people or geniuses talk about ideas. So I want to at least be smart enough to talk about events, maybe talk about some ideas when we're feeling super, super smart. But at the end of the day, I never put myself above you. I was always just a monkey.
Has basically become the dictator of Iran. And if that's the case, the very essence of what the regime is supposed to be, in other words, that there is a supreme leader that is chosen based on other criteria, kind of goes out. And to say that
I'm going to ask everyone a question. I don't know how much control Muchi had, but I'm going to paint you a scenario. And you guys, especially if any of you are from Iran, tell me this. Let's say Ghalibaf and Aragashi and Mushtaba, they pop up in France and they sign a paper saying, we cannot control the government. This is not a real government. I was never, I never had the status to be an Ayatollah. I never accepted the role. Aragachi or whatever his name is says, this is a dysfunctional government. We don't recognize this as a real government. And Ghalibaf says it is impossible to control these people or make a deal with them. We surrender this government to a transitional government because it is impossible to control this government as it stands. Would you let them motherfuckers fuck off to wherever? Just those three motherfuckers. Go do whatever you want. If I see you in a corner like in 10 years, who knows what might happen? But would you let them fuck off into the sunset if it gives the green light to then take all the funds, give them to a transitional power, and let them have the not Ghalibaf? Okay, people want Ghalibaf. Okay. I don't know how much he had to do with the specific killing, or if he was just kind of a puppet. How much he had to do with the judiciary, how much he was in control of the police. Because I would think people who they most want is the trigger pullers and the people above the trigger pullers who gave the orders. I would figure that's the number one target. Number two target, the people who were in charge of the police that were repressing people over long term. Number three target, the military, because they are the revolutionary people who took over. He gave orders. He gave orders. Okay, then I guess you want him. None of them. Okay. I understand that feeling. But would you understand if we accepted that deal, declared the IRGC illegitimate, and then removed the IRGC completely and started backing a transitional government with Pahlavi and anyone who defected to him to then form a transitional government and start some, like, you don't like it, you're not down for it, but hey, we made a deal, they fucked off to Russia, and we're gonna take the IRGC out and put a transitional government in power. You're not happy about it, but I mean, would you be like, shit happens? I'm just glad we're fucking dealing with the IRGC and the whole planet has accepted that the IRGC has no power, that they're basically a rebel force. Like maybe that's it's not, you're not happy about it, but if it happens, it happens. Like I'm just playing out. Yeah, you would understand. Maybe hunt them later. Yeah, you know who used to be. You know who's good at that. You know who you could talk to about that? Oi, hey, I know some people that they can hunt people for a long time, eh? Okay. This is ancient monkey talk. I don't understand what you're saying there. Monkey killing monkey. You know what? I hope this isn't about that passage of the Quran about the monkeys. We don't do that anymore. Okay. Monkeys are not stoning monkeys anymore. Those times have passed. I know that there's a passage in the Quran that talks about monkeys stoning monkeys. We don't do that anymore. All right. There's very few governments that still stone people, and it's not the Christians, it's not the Jews, and it's not the monkeys. Okay. So we don't got to talk about it. Yeah. Oh, you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, I know some people that hunt people down long term. Oi, hey, you know what? You can let them get away with it now, those three. But later, if something should happen, hey, who knows?
He may, nobody's seen him. To say as a foreign minister.
Oh, a hadith. It might have been a hadith about stoning monkeys. I don't remember. I don't like the book.
I have not seen him like that. That is quite the statement, and it really opens up the possibility of our other senior officials, maybe President Pezeshkian or others, are they going to also say we have not seen him either, which would seed doubt throughout the Iranian population as to whether.
Okay, so here's the thing. This was a conversation that we had about 2 months ago, 2 to 3 months ago. I remember Armin was talking about it. I remember I was talking about it. I think I don't know if I had a show back then. It might have been before my show started, but the conversation was like this. I translated it to Walmart America because Ghalibaf was saying, why can't I talk to him? Why can't I talk to Mush Mush? Why can't I talk to Mush Mush? And it looked like Wahidi or someone grabbed Ghalibaf by the collar and say, look, motherfucker, I don't care if you talk to Mush Mush or not. You're going to go out there and you're going to tell the people that you did meet with Mush Mush and Mush Mush is okay. You hear me, Ghalibaf? You're going to lie your fucking face off and you're going to say you talked to Mush Mush and he's fine. And Ghali said, oh, Ghali, I will say that. I will say I talked to Mush Mush. So he goes and says, I talked to Mush Mush. He says, I'm the best boy. I said, I'm the bestest ever. He says, I have very good ideas and we should do what I say. And then Vahidi or like the IRGC goes on the other side and says, bullshit, you didn't meet with no one. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I mean? Do you guys remember that? There was an issue. I haven't talked to him. You better say you did. Or Pezeshkian, whoever of the two. But that was the situation. I haven't met with the guy. Why can't I meet with him? I've asked for a meeting. I can't meet him. All of a sudden he comes like, yes, he did meet him. So you liar. What do you mean you can't meet him? Of course you can meet him. You're a liar. He's available to anyone, you liar. He said, okay. He's available. Okay. So I did talk to him. He says I'm the best. No, you didn't, you liar. You haven't met with him. That was like, I'm basically going off the top of the dome because I don't remember the full conversation. He did not say you're the best boy. You're a liar. You met, I don't know who you met, but he didn't say you're best boy. He said, I'm best boy. It was Ghalibaf. You remember that? It was Ghalibaf. I'm gonna have to ask Armin about that because this is gonna come up tomorrow.
The supreme leader is actually
The case
the
of the
supreme
disappearing
leader, that
Dirkus.
basically all
Yes.
you have is General Vahidi as a dictator, and that would be the seeds of maybe something bigger leading to potentially regime change. So it's rather interesting to hear that being said.
Let's talk about what's been going on in Yemen. Houthi
Appreciate you
portion
for reminding me.
Yemen.
If you like more colorful monkey commentary, you can come over here to my channel. Maybe give me a follow. I'm trying to get to 750. I'm trying to get 8 more followers tonight, if that's at all possible. If 8 of you could subscribe, that would be fantastic. I'm going to put my link in the chat just here in case you guys want to help me out. I got to get to 1,000. I got to get like 250 more. If I get 8 today, that'll be great.
And really the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of discussion about the potential of this war widening in such a way that it really does snarl not only global shipping in one major artery of global shipping, but now we're talking about 2 different ones here. So we have this map to kind of give people a loose idea of what this piece of geography looks like.
Okay, so if this is 100 miles, this is about, oh my God, and that looks like a rock right there. So we got to go from this to maybe here, like 1.5 miles. So that's about 5 miles wide or less right here. That's tight. This is very tight. You could see across here. This is where there's a rebel force against the Houthis that showed up.
We've all become so familiar with what the Strait of Hormuz looks like. This is yet another strait that we should familiarize ourselves with. A declared blockade of Saudi Arabia by Yemen's Houthi rebels has the potential to widen this war. It could further disrupt global oil supplies. It could further disrupt international trade. The AP says that the Houthis say they have closed the Bab el-Mandeb
You think it's 8?
Strait
Yeah,
to
5 to
Saudi-linked
8.
shipping.
Like, yeah.
This is in retaliation.
I was
for the
counting this
kingdom's
rock
blockade on
also.
Yemen,
That rock may be not
and for a
significant.
recent attack on the international airport in Yemen's capital, Sana'a. How? All of this considered, how does the U.S. fit into the Saudi Houthi situation?
Well, generally speaking, we support the Saudis, and obviously we support keeping the Bab el-Mandeb Strait.
We also support them with a lot of weapons. The problem that the Saudis have is that they promote over loyalty and family. It's a nepotism. So when you have nepotism, you have great weapons, but you can't really use those weapons well because the people that are there aren't there because they're really good at being military soldiers or following orders. They're there because the families want to stay in power and they fear not having their military in control. That's the problem there.
Open. There have been at times multinational coalition maritime task forces, combined task forces that go in there and work on keeping this open. There's been a lot of action there. Up until a year ago, we were heavily involved with air attacks all around the Houthi areas in Yemen, hitting missile sites, drone sites, all sorts of different things. So this has been a very contested area. Now, it's interesting. They say they're doing a naval blockade. They actually picked that language specifically to mirror what we're doing to Iran, which is a naval blockade. The difference is our naval blockade, we have ships. They don't have any ships. What they do have is they have drones and missiles. Now, reportedly, that was enough that they had some Saudi tankers turn around today and head the other direction because they were warned not to go that direction. This could potentially close down traffic there. That's a huge transit area. It's not what it was, prior to the first time, but that they closed it, which was, after that was due.
You got to understand. The more that this goes on, the more the world learns to rely on other sources. This isn't good for the Saudis Because if the world gets used to having oil closer in the north of UK, and I think it's Netherlands. Netherlands, let me see. It's Switzerland, Netherlands. I think it's Netherlands found a whole bunch of oil. If all over Latin America, I think right now Colombia has gone to the right, and we're gonna start ramping up production in Colombia. We're gonna start ramping up production in Guyana, and we found a lot of oil in Guyana. We're gonna start ramping up production in Venezuela, ramping up production in Brazil. We're already ramping up production in Alaska and Argentina and Texas. And we're ramping up production. There's one more spot I'm not remembering, but it's in Southern America. Like, if all these places ramp up production and they make the closing of all this irrelevant, well, this whole area becomes kind of irrelevant. And when they open up, if all the other places keep their Argentina, yeah, that's one of them. If all those places keep their production up, what we might see, the Falklands, yeah, they could get some oil going too. What we might see is oil drop so far when the straits open and this is all over, that basically it's not worth getting it from the desert. It's not worth pulling out. It costs you more to pull out than you can sell it for. I didn't know this. Trump forced California to produce oil. Good on him.
Due to what
Drill,
Israel
baby,
doing in
drill.
Gaza. But it is the first time in a year we've seen this. It's been kind of open for over a year, and now they're doing this again. And of course, their methodology is so poor. When they say going after Saudi shipping, they could hit any shipping out there because they just.
I'm going to tell you guys something else. Even if you make oil production irrelevant in the Persian Gulf, and only basically China and India and the Indo-Pacific buys it because it's really close. You know who still makes good money anyway under a good administration? Iran. Because you know what Iran has that a lot of those places don't have? Rare earth minerals.
Don't target very well. So that's a big problem. Now, as you know, I've done maritime security stuff in that region for a very long time. I've been there multiple times. I know it pretty well. So this is not an area I'm unfamiliar with at all. And that's how you connect. There's the Gulf of Aden, the Indian Ocean, connects to the Bab el-Mandeb Strait to the Red Sea, and that leads up to the Suez Canal. That is a major global transit area. I think around 12%, 15% of global maritime commerce normally goes through that area. So this is not.
Just so you understand, global maritime commerce means all the oil that goes through boats, all the containers that go through boats, and all other materials that go through boats. People underestimate how much of trade is still done by ship. People think everything gets here by a plane because Amazon is quick. That is not true. The reason Amazon is quick is because they have large warehouses everywhere. And the way they fill those warehouses is with these boats.
Not an insignificant thing. With this closed and the Strait of Hormuz closed.
What is this? What is this? We used to have troops in my what? In Djibouti. I recall years ago hearing a guy, Mark Levin show, mentioned it. We got troops in Djibouti, man. I don't know where Djibouti is, but we got them. It is a funny name.
You have a vast disruption of the global supply chain for a lot of things, oil being part.
Should I watch videos of Jesse Waters? I'll check them out. I'll check them out next. Thank you, Marie.
Part of it. And so we don't want to see that happen. I don't know if this is going to cause the Saudis to become even more aggressive. They might. They've gone back and forth over the years doing attacks.
Okay, this guy's a little slow. We're going to speed him up.
But for the Houthis to do what they're doing now, I think the Saudis may become much more engaged.
Another region we're going to have to focus on moving forward. Back to Iran, Hal, there are still diplomatic efforts from the Pakistani side to.
Okay.
to try and
Looks Pakistan
bring the two
gonna
sides
say.
together to try and salvage this interim ceasefire deal that has collapsed. The possibility of a
We're talking about a sheikh in the Middle East called Sheikh Djibouti. Do you guys know Sheikh Djibouti? Sheikh Djibouti. Anyone? Sheikh Djibouti. I feel like I'm at Moe's Tavern. Sheikh Djibouti.
diplomatic off-ramp. It feels far away right now. What is it going to take to get us back on the track to diplomacy?
It's going to take a lot. And actually, that statement that Foreign Minister Arakchi made about the Supreme Leader, that's going to weigh into that because it gets into who are we dealing with? Who are we talking to? The big problem we had with the 14-point memorandum of understanding was and it happened during all the negotiations.
Who is managing the transition on Fox Live? They're getting everything in half a translation, half a transition. All right, want to see Fox? Uh-oh, Waters is here. This is 8 hours ago. This is 2 hours ago. U.S. will try. Okay, probably pretty soon. Okay. Okay. I don't want to watch the 5 today. Blue states exposed for registering thousands of non-citizens. This is also important. But you know what? I have a feeling. Like, I don't know, but I have a feeling that the ladies kind of like this guy. Ladies, tell me what you think. Do you think this is like a handsome man?
It's on.
I think they call him a DILF.
U.S. Central Command launching crippling strikes against Iran. Command centers, missile and drone launch sites, and
Okay, we got no confessions. You're safe. You're safe here. You're not going to be objectified, Jesse.
air defense systems wiped out along the coastline.
Oh, I spoke too soon.
This new offensive aimed at pushing back what's left of the enemy's firepower far away from reaching the strait. The commander-in-chief now calling his shots, like the Babe.
How about these people? They're in this because of nuclear weapons that they're trying to possibly reconstitute a site. We'll hit that site. Any site where they're even thinking about nuclear, we'll be hitting it very, very powerfully.
Pickaxe Mountains in the crosshairs. The Israelis are leaking to the media that the Iranians moved centrifuges under the mountain after Operation Midnight Hammer obliterated their 3 main sites.
This is what I said at the beginning of the show. At the beginning of the show, if you guys remember, I said, yeah, but you're from Texas. He's from New York City. I still remember those commercials. It's made in New York City.
AKA, it's their little plan B. Like 3-card Monty, if they ever get their hands on more uranium.
Do you believe
that, like at the beginning of the show, I said, I think that what they moved, the nuclear material that they moved into Pickaxe wasn't uranium. That's still buried. What they moved was centrifuges.
that Iran has moved nuclear centrifuges into Pickaxe Mountain?
It doesn't mean anything unless they have the material. They don't have. We follow the material. That's where the action is, and we'll be hitting that area probably pretty soon. And there's not a thing they can do about it.
The nuclear dusk has been buried. Their nuclear program's over. So what are they doing in an underground lair? And why is it 6,000 feet deep?
Do we have the ability to destroy whatever is underneath Pickaxe Mountain?
Senator, a lot of our capabilities are classified, but if anybody in the world can reach anything on God's green earth, it's the United States military, the most powerful military in the world. It's all about options and trade-offs.
The option on the president's desk right now
Because you close the door, and once you close the door, no one can get to it.
is an all-out war. That would include Pickaxe. Sources say Israel would come in to help deliver the final blow. The Israelis are already on high alert and preparing to go full scale. F-16s and F-35s are moving into theater, and refueling planes are being pre-positioned. The Iranians say they still want to negotiate, but talks are off. The United States says they're not coming back into the table until the Iranians show they're serious.
Iran's been given every opportunity to negotiate, to show that they're reasonable on the Strait of Hormuz. But if they're going to shoot at commercial shipping, then we're going to hit them, as the president said, 10 times harder, which every night we're degrading them further and further. And the president has all the options necessary. If they want to talk, they can talk. Otherwise, they can deal with the War Department.
The other option on the table, a 10-day ceasefire, a cooling off period, which the Iranians desperately need.
Mr. President, there are no signs that Iran is ready to stop fighting. So what is the plan? Is the plan to just keep bombing until they give up?
There are no signs. What, do you know something that I don't know?
Will they continue to attack our allies and
You
kill
don't know what
Americans?
the dialogue is behind the scenes, that they want to meet desperately to try and end it because they're getting decimated. You don't get that when you listen to your fake station.
While we're dropping bombs, the commander-in-chief is playing diplomat.
You don't get that when you're listening to your fake station.
The president's peeling Lebanon away from the gay Ayatollah. The Lebanese president...
Let's go back.
The commander-in-chief's playing diplomat. The president's peeling Lebanon away from the gay Ayatollah. The Lebanese president visited the White House today. It was the first time in 15 years. It was quite chummy.
Mr. President, it's an honor having you. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. I've been looking forward to this visit for a long time.
Thank you very
Meeting such a great president like yourself.
That's a very nice thing. See, he knows how to get to me. He can have anything.
Trump.
He can have anything. Look at the mustard flag. Isn't that one of the ugliest flags? Look at this. You can tell this was the first one they designed. Their first child.
Shattered the entire network of Iranian alliances. The War Department is looking to train, equip, and vet elite army units in Lebanon to go in and purge and disarm Hezbollah for good. This keeps Israel from having to do the dirty work, which Lebanon likes quite a bit. And it could even bring Lebanon into the Abraham Accords. Iran's other proxies, the Houthis, could set up their own blockade in the Red Sea. Now, that's another key choke point like Hormuz. Shipping goes north and south through the Mediterranean, connecting Europe to the Middle East and Asia. Iran is trying to terrorize the main artery of world trade. Now, if the Houthis get frisky, there could be trouble.
What is your level of concern of a blockade of the Red Sea by the Houthi rebels, opening up another front in the war?
What happens? So far, it hasn't happened, might happen. But we take care of things. If something like that happens, we take care of it.
The U.S. Navy will keep the oil flowing and protected from piracy. Over 500 million barrels of oil sailed right under the nose of Iran during Project Freedom. And we have bases on the Horn of Africa ready to do their duty. Hegseth testified today that we are in total control of traffic. Our guided missile destroyers, like the USS Mason, continue to sail the seas, and morale on board sky high.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about this because there's some misconceptions about what happens when. There's people saying the mustard flag kind of sucks. Hassan Piker is trying to convince people that it's the best flag, and when they talked about it, it's funny because he was in a podcast with some of his gay friends, and they know what Hezbollah does to gay people, so they were like, I'm not such a fan of that flag, and he's like, no, it's so cool. Anyway, back to the topic. What I was saying is that there's a difference between the strait is open and insurance companies will insure vessels that are carrying millions of dollars of cargo or fuel through it. You can open it as much as you want, but if nobody trusts their ship to go through without getting attacked, no one is going to pay for that insurance.
Iran's terrorizing the Strait because it's their only leverage. But they're going to lose that leverage, not just because of U.S. air power, but because Gulf countries are skipping the Strait. Iraq just visited the White House, and they signed off on Chevron finishing a pipeline from Baghdad to Syria into the Mediterranean.
Okay. Do you guys understand what it means if this was a lot of what the war with Syria was about? Not wanting that pipe to get through. Because Syria was with Russia, and Russia didn't want that pipe. They wanted to sell Russian oil, or oil that was allied to them. One of the things that kept happening is they were fighting over control of the pipes and the oil along that line. If anybody remembers the stuff, they remember that. So if this pipe finally gets built, that's another workaround. If you get Iraq and Syria on the same page with U.S. making deals to get that oil out, that's a great thing. You get from Iraq to Syria to the Mediterranean without having to touch the Persian Gulf. Ooh. What does it matter if you have control of the strait? I'm not putting my oil through there.
Iran won't be able to clip any tankers because the tankers will be off the coast of Greece. Chevron's also going to drill, baby, drill in southern Iraq. And ConocoPhillips just took a huge stake in Iraqi oil. Remember Trump said we should have taken the oil? Well, there you go. Starlink is going to...
Yes, this is true. Trump said when we went to Iraq, We didn't even take the oil. Why did we go to Iraq and not take the oil? If we're going to go to Iraq, we got to take the oil. I don't understand why we went to Iraq and we did not get that oil. Everybody says it. I think he got it. He got that oil.
Going to start operating in Iraq. Even JP Morgan is going to open a Baghdad branch. Those deals are worth $60 billion. So we've pulled Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon away from the mullahs. And we're selling the Arabs $2 trillion in AI, plus weapons.
Yeah, we could escort every ship through, but the insurers don't want them to go. That's a good point.
Russia and China
Thank you, Texas.
aren't even in the sandbox. The president setting the table. And now the Iranian economy is on the brink.
We have found the money man for the Ayatollah, and we hope to soon be able to print his $100 million plus properties and show the addresses. Their currency has collapsed. It is at an all-time low versus the dollar. It's in free fall. And
it's like we got intel. Operation Economic Fury. He's over here like, hey, I'm bombing their banking accounts. Okay. I'm not using a gun or a bomb, but I am bombing the hell out of their bank accounts.
we think the inflation rate is upwards of 180%.
Iran sugar daddy, China, alligator arms. Crude purchases down 40%. Venezuela, even worse. Big mistake by Beijing to build their energy supplies off sanctioned rogues, now surrounded by Pistol Pete. Our Arab allies believe that Iran's about to tap.
Bro, Jesse is sassy. I love the sass. This guy is spicy.
Economies in tatters and their currencies cratering. Yep, they're still shooting, but they can't keep up.
Iran is at the weakest point militarily.
I want to buy this guy a beer. And I want to hear stories of the bullshit that goes on behind the scene. You know those, and I tell him, some crazy shit he says. I bet oh my God, they must have some fun.
It has ever been in the past decade, certainly maybe in 47 years, as they've gathered effectively a terror army. So I acknowledge they still have capabilities, no doubt. But the amount of damage that we've done to them over the course of these series of operations has put them in the worst place they've ever been.
The mission's expensive. There's no doubt about it. The president argues it is worth the cost. Iran can never have a nuclear weapon, he says, or a military that can jack up U.S. energy prices. Hegseth and General Raising Cane testified on Capitol Hill today to say we have to finish the job. But they need money. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs says the character of war is changing, and Biden left them with an empty war chest.
The Biden administration ignored hypersonics. They just decided to pretend like that technology didn't exist and we shouldn't invest in it. There are things. I don't know what Lloyd Austin did for 4 years. I really don't. Well, sure. The amount of neglect, the amount of stale thinking and bureaucracy, it was staggering when we took over.
Democrats at the hearing did talk.
That's a good point. There's a lot of investment that didn't happen in the military.
A lot about winning the war.
The IRGC is the CCP's little bitch. Yeah, they pretend they're not, but that's exactly what they are. Oh, we got some love here for Scotty B.
But they mostly meant the war in Ukraine.
We're in a moment in history where we can win the war in Ukraine. That victory.
Ooh, Scotty B is gangster. I mean, you know what? What he was saying there is like he had his own, guns to aim.
Would be critically important for those people who have fought for more than 4 years against the odds and proven they can put Putin back on his heels. But instead of finding the money that they need now for air defenses, we're putting more money into this exchange with Iran, a war of choice, which we never should have entered.
Did the Democrats say we have to win the war in Iran? I didn't hear it. They all said we have to win the war in Ukraine. Guys, the U.S. is at war now. No one's shooting at Americans in Europe. They're shooting at Americans in the Strait.
I appreciate as much as anybody winning a war, but I sit in front of a committee that wants to talk about winning a war that's been going on for 4 years and talks about strategic defeat of a conflict that's been going on for 4 months to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb. I would hope for some perspective in this town of the historic nature of what President Trump is undertaking. Do you want radical Islamists to have a nuclear bomb?
I don't want to hear your speech because I have limited time. So if you can't answer my question, then I will move on to my next question.
Obama and Biden sent money to Iran.
Democrats posturing for their Instagram reels.
They used it to buy missiles, launch them at our troops, and now the Democrats don't want to send money to the Pentagon to keep them safe. They want to give money to Zelensky, but not Trump. The Democrats want to win the midterms. They don't want to win the war in Iran. Now, it was back and forth.
Listen, this is an easy choice. Paying like 600 million or a billion to get rid of the IRGC. Yeah, I would even pay 600 billion, half a trillion, sure. Just to get rid of them, sure. We'll make the money back in no time.
Forth all afternoon until Pete finally erupted.
You don't have a strategy. You don't have a long-term plan to actually win this war. Win the war. The men and women are going to be able to do it, but they need to have leadership. When will you show leadership? When will you show leadership?
Why don't you show some leadership and stand up to your fellow Democrats who won't fund the troops, who stand and play partisan politics while you don't give us the money? You want to stand up here and talk about the troops? You won't show any political courage to actually fund our department because you have Trump derangement syndrome and can't actually commit to anything meaningful.
Be sure to like it.
Ooh, got him. Definitely got him. Man, this man is sassy. All right, let's see. Let's see if we got to 750. Let's give it a look. Oh, I didn't even gain one. Not one. I must be doing I apologize. I must be doing a terrible job today. I'm gonna put the link in there. If you think I've even done a half decent job, if you're not already subscribed, give me a chance, give me a shot, come back, and hey, you know, we'll listen to you. We'll see what you have to say, and maybe we'll be able to, get into some good stuff over here. I did want to get into a bit of the Twitters. Now I made this I have this pinned. I want to give you guys my article. Wait, this is my Twitter, right? Now I made this article. I always like to talk a little bit about this. This is about how the Democrat replace. Wait, I might want to edit this. There. Better. I think it would still be. Is it still pinned? Yes, it is. Okay, the Democrats replace voters of colors with illegal immigrants, open border strategy at the poll. This is a little article I made. I used AI, but I used a lot of hard data and I passed it through a lot of models. I did a lot of things to make sure the data was correct and that there was way to systematically prove that when the borders were open, the disenfranchisement that we were suffering most was to people of color and Latinos. It is from us that they want to take away the vote because they noticed that a lot of us were preferring either more center Democrats, more sane Democrats, or straight up went Republican for Trump. They wanted to disenfranchise that. And white Democrats flooded every minority district that switched to purple or red with immigrants because this is what they did. My apologies. The voter replacement strategy in 2026 minority shift, ethnic placement, and 5 to 13% voter roll integrity issues. 5 to 13% voter roll issues is a big problem. That's a big problem. 5% can flip a district. In 2016, legal Black and Latino voters shifted to Donald Trump, roughly 8% of the Black vote and 28 to 29% of the Hispanic vote. 8% of the Black vote, almost 30% of the Latino vote went to Trump in 2016. I want you to see the pattern why 2020 was crazy, because it kept going up. Trump reached nearly 48% among Hispanics. Yeah, we love him. And 15% among Blacks. That's basically the kind of numbers that you easily see from one Democrat to another. 15% among Black people in the validated data. That's a lot. I think there's an error here. This should not be here. Oh my God, did I copy something wrong? 2 over a million nationwide. I'm going to do something real fast here, folks. I apologize. I'm not okay. Let me explain something here. I'm not a journalist. that means this is my first article. So when I say I wrote an article, I used a lot of AI tools to say, hey, how do you actually make an article? How do you make it look? How do it look good? How do you make it genuine? How do you make it look more like a report, like an open source report on what's going on? So that's why I'm not a professional in any way. But are you going to trust the professionals? They keep lying to us. Well, you got to do it yourself. Instead of adapting to the policies to retain the working class citizens of color, the Democrat establishment pursued demographic replacement. Like instead of trying to make black people happy, they just said, no, we're just going to get other people. After regaining power in 2021, they expanded humanitarian parole under this law, and this is the policy. South border encounters jumped to 2.37 million because the Democrats sought this to make people keep trying to get out of. Do you guys remember that he was trying to build a wall and some people made it illegal? Some states opened up the fence. And he was like thinking, am I going to have to like call in the National Guard? What are we going to do here? Like, this is a problem that was happening. And from 2.3 to over 10 million nationwide. This was under Trump, and this was when he was being heavily undermined. Then it jumped to 10 million under Biden and Harris, with 8.7 at the Southwest. Millions entered to HNV parole programs. Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, Venezuelans on January 2023. Placement. This is another thing that's very important. The placement was intentionally designed to discuss the deception and possible cheating. Latino majority arrivals were heavily funneled into established Latino neighborhood in sanctuary cities such as New York, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Chicago, Pilsen, Little Village, in the Miami Metro, in Houston, Los Angeles. Black and Haitian and sub-Africans migrants were concentrated in areas with large existing Black populations. Right? In New York, 1.1 million Black immigrants, Chicago, South Side, Shore, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Boston. By routing the newer immigrants into traditionally ethnic enclaves, the strategy allowed them to blend behind old voting patterns. This ethnic-specific placement was crafted to make any deception or possible cheating appear as simple lost gains due to party policies. Because if you go to places that were blue but turned purple or red for Trump, and you fill that with illegal immigrants, if we lose gains there, it's going to be, oh, it's because people hate the war. It's because Israel. People are sick of Israel. Bullshit. It's because you put a whole bunch of illegal immigrants in there. And then you said you don't need an ID to vote. This occurred against vocal complaints from the same communities. I remember the videos of people say, hey, we can't even use our communal center for birthdays and for shit for the kids because you've turned it into an illegal migrant camp. We can't even use some of our schools. Our hotels are filled with these people and you're paying them off. In Chicago, Black aldermen protested hundreds of millions spent on migrant shelters while neglecting longstanding Black neighborhoods. In New York City, Black Mayor Eric Adams did say this shit. Then they put him under investigation. He warned that the influx would destroy New York City and strain services in Black-led areas. Like this was, if you remember, this is why I wrote this article, because people think there's like a Black versus white. No. They're disenfranchising us way more than they're disenfranchising the white people, because like support for Trump jumped from 28 in 2016 to 48. So that's what's been going on. We're getting disenfranchised. Our Black brothers and sisters are getting disenfranchised. Our Latino brothers and sisters are getting disenfranchised by all these illegal immigrants. Okay, so I want to get into this part specifically, right? Because this is a 5 to 10% still carried millions of questionable entries capable into influencing the razor-thin races for dozens of House contestants. Dozens of 2024 House contested seats were decided by 5 points or fewer. So if they're decided by 5 points or fewer, and you got 5 to 13 voter roll bullshit in the integrity, that's a problem. This is what I want to touch on: the statistical impossibility of accident. Oh, we just put them there by accident. The chain of policy actions is too precise, too sequential, too perfectly aligned to be accidental. From the immediate post-2026 recognition of the minority voter shifts, to the 2021 expansion of humanitarian parole, to the launch of multiple CHNV programs via specific federal registry notices, to the directed release of NGO funding routed to Latino migrants into Latino neighborhoods, Black Haitian migrants into Black neighborhoods, to continued tolerance of a 5 to 13% voter roll integrity crisis across states. Every step required high-level coordination, funding, legal memos, and implementation. This is the important part. Like when I tell you we need the SAVE Act, is because they are deliberately, intentionally, strategically using the illegal immigrants to erase how many of us Black people and Latinos went for Trump. This is what they're trying to erase through all these illegal votes. They're disenfranchising us because we dared to vote Republican again, because we dared to support Trump. So they're not going to help us. They're not going to try to win our favor by doing good for us. No. They're just going to replace us. This is what they do. First, they claimed that they were going to help Black people to get their vote. Once they had their vote, they stopped helping, and they claimed that they were going to help Latinos. Then, when they had their vote, they claimed that they were going to help. Who is it easier? Who's less people than Black people? Latino. Who's less people than Latinos? Oh, gay people. Then they forgot about the Latinos. They forgot about the Black. It's easier to help the gay people because there's a lot less of them. So it's easier, right? Okay, then they forget about the gay people, and they're like, no, we're just going for trans. Who is it better to help than the gays and the trans? We can help the people that are not even here. Hamas. That's how the Democrats are rolling. So I wanted you guys to see this. I wanted you guys to see, you know what? I'm just a monkey, but I'm monkeying around. I'm doing the best I can to help. I'm doing the best I can to make sure that you guys know you got to make this too big to rig. So here's my channel. We're gonna keep talking about this shit here because this is some important shit. You guys need to understand this kind of disenfranchisement, where it's going, who is going to. Like, we need Scott Pressler, but we also need like a Jerome Pressler. We need a Jose Pressler. We need people everywhere to get this shit done. So there's my link. If you want to follow. I'll try to make more articles, try to make videos about this, do the best I can to find other people making videos about this as I've done before. And we'll see what we can do. Let me see. Did we get to 750? Did we get there? Oh, we're almost there. We got 4 more to go. Maybe we'll get there. If you guys can, I would appreciate it. There's the link. I put it in the chat for you. But before I go, I want to tell you guys, bless you. Bless your health. Bless your wealth. Bless your plans, your homes, your loved ones, your family, and everything you touch. Peace.